President Obama recently explained his idea of where a business comes from. He said, if you've got a business, you didn't build that. Somebody else made that happen. Though it was probably somebody else who looked like you and had your name and your mom. She just never told you about it. Maybe we'd better take a closer look at Obamanomics. For the Manhattan Institute, I'm City Journal contributing editor Andrew Klavan. President Barack Obama doesn't think America's economic problems can be solved by free market capitalism.
It doesn't work. It has never worked.
Perhaps this is because the president has failed to notice some of the subtle differences between the world before free markets and the world after free markets.
Money. Come on, honey. Let's land it, spend it, send it, rolling around.
As James R. Otteson explains on the Manhattan Institute's Issues 2012 page, over the last 200 years, free market capitalism has almost single-handedly accounted for a stunning leap in human wealth, living conditions, and lifespan. But under President Obama, the nation's private sector growth has been stagnant and private sector unemployment has remained persistently high. So why is the president so strangely unconcerned about the private sector?
The private sector is doing fine.
You see, Obama believes economic stagnancy is due to a lack of government stimulus, and he thinks unemployment derives from the fact that government workers at the state and local level are losing their jobs because government at the federal level can't help pay for them. In the economy, according to Obama, higher taxes on the rich means more money for the government to pay for more stimulus programs and more government workers, and therefore stronger growth and less unemployment. Let's look more closely at how that model works. In free market capitalism, money serves as a symbol of the amount of desire people have for your goods and services. If you invent a better phone or a more effective medicine or one of those new sex toys with the feathers on one end and the bells that I've only heard about, you create more desire for those products and therefore more wealth, more jobs, more sex toys. The wealth created by the inventors of and investors in those products doesn't detract from anyone else. It's actually part of a rising tide of money that ultimately lifts everyone. But under Obamanomics, the president taxes that money away from inventors and investors and uses it to buy things he thinks you ought to want, but actually don't, like ineffective solar panels, exploding electric cars, out-of-control union pensions that bankrupt companies and municipalities, and a burgeoning system of entitlements like the one that destroyed the former Soviet Union and the former Europe. Because these government-commanded investments produce no desire, they produce no wealth and no jobs. But that's okay, because the federal government can simply stimulate growth and hire workers with money it got by taxing the private companies that would have only thrown that money away, creating more wealth and more jobs. And that's fair, because the private companies benefited from government roads and services paid for by taxes on the private companies, which have now gone bankrupt. But don't worry, the bankrupt companies can be bailed out by the government with money from taxes on the companies, which are no longer there. This is called Keynesian economics, in which the government goes into debt by spending money it doesn't have to create jobs that don't exist, which generate wealth that never was, that can then be taxed to create more debt. Now, some of you who have been paying attention to this program may have begun to feel worried that the president and his advisors haven't got the foggiest idea about how an economy works. We'd like to help you feel better about that. So maybe you could stop paying attention. For the Manhattan Institute, I'm City Journal contributing editor Andrew Klavan.